There's a powerful mental technique that, if you apply it for just 7 days, could help you see yourself more clearly than ever before and set a solid direction for your life. I call it Total Immersion Week. Now, let me be clear. This isn't some productivity hack or a quick fix habit. This is an intense, focused method designed to bring your mind into full alignment with your reality. And for many people, it's the first time they actually feel like they understand what's going on inside themselves. So, what is total immersion? At its core, it means this. For one full week, you choose a single critical problem or theme in your life, and you make it your whole world. You don't just think about it once and forget. You don't deal with it when you're in the mood. Instead, you look at it every day from different angles at different times with a relentless curiosity. You journal about it. You reflect on it while walking, while showering, while lying in bed. You ask it questions even when you don't have answers yet. You let it become the background of your mental operating system. This is what I mean by total immersion. The mistake most people make is thinking they need to fix 10 things at once. They scatter their attention, a little bit of fitness, a bit of self-help, a few random YouTube videos. But when you're spread thin, nothing changes deeply. The power of total immersion is that it forces your mind to go deep instead of wide. And that depth, that's where clarity starts to show up. So how do you actually do this in practice? Step 1. You pick the theme. It could be a question like, why do I feel stuck right now? Or, what direction should I take with my career? Or, how do I rebuild my confidence after this breakup? It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to matter to you. Step 2. Commit to thinking about this one thing every day for the next 7 days. This isn't about solving it overnight. It's about building a mental lens through which you begin to see clearly. Imagine it like tuning a radio. At first, it's just static. But with focus, you start to hear signals. You begin to pick up meaning. That's what happens when you keep asking and reflecting. Now, during this week, you don't need to meditate on a mountain or delete all your apps. You just need to be intentional. Carry a notebook or keep a notes app on your phone. Every time a thought pops up about your chosen theme, write it down. Every time an insight hits you, capture it. The idea is to gradually gather data about your own mind. Think of it like emotional detective work. You're not here to judge yourself. You're here to observe, decode, and understand. By the end of the week, most people start to experience something strange. Clarity. And not because life suddenly became easier, but because they finally stopped running from the one question that matters most. They sat with it. They looked it in the eye, and they began to hear what it was trying to say. This, right here, is the first real step to a life of direction. All right, welcome to the part where things get real. This is where theory meets real life. Because now I want to show you how total immersion isn't just some mental trick. It's a tool you can actually use to get unstuck and move forward. Let's start with something common. Maybe you're someone who has no idea what you really want. You've got a decent education, maybe even a job, maybe an okay income. But if someone asked you, where do you want your life to go? You'd freeze. Not because you're lazy, not because you're dumb, but because you've never sat down and seriously thought about it. That's where the power of immersion kicks in. For the next 7 days, every time you have a quiet moment, whether it's 5 minutes or 50, you bring your mind back to one thing, the core question. Ask yourself, what's the one thing in my life I need to figure out right now? What's the one thing that, if I solved it, would change everything? You don't need the perfect answer immediately, but you need to start asking. You can use guiding questions like, what am I actually good at? When do I feel most alive? What would my ideal life look like? If nothing changed in the next 5 years, would I be okay with that? Write. Think. Pause. Then come back again. Over and over for 7 days. I promise, around day 3 or 4, you'll start to feel something shift. You'll begin to see a blurry shape forming. You'll feel a small voice inside saying, This is the thing I've been ignoring. That's your first breakthrough. Right there, you're no longer just drifting. You've started to see the system. Because here's the truth. If you don't know what's broken, you can't fix it. Most people live in confusion because they've never actually stopped to pinpoint the problem. They think they're stuck in life when really, they're just stuck in vagueness. But once you name the issue clearly, you've already taken the first real step. Let's make it practical. Say, halfway through your immersion week, you realize the real problem isn't your job or your skills, it's loneliness. You've got the work, the income, the routine, but deep down, you feel disconnected. All right, that becomes your new theme for the rest of the week. How do I start building connection? Now your questions change. You ask, where can I meet people who think like me? Do I actually reach out or do I wait for others to notice me? Am I showing up in communities? Am I making space for new relationships? Suddenly you start seeing options. Facebook groups, events, clubs, Discord servers, even just reaching out to an old friend. The point is, when your brain is in immersion mode, it stops looking for random answers and starts hunting for real ones. You shift from, why do I feel this way, to, what exactly can I try today? And here's the beautiful part. None of these ideas would have surfaced if you hadn't spent time with the original question. Most breakthroughs aren't lightning bolts. They're slow burns. They emerge after days of sitting with discomfort, after asking the same question again and again until finally, your mind starts to answer. So, let's recap. A week ago, you were directionless. Now you've identified the core issue, and you've got a starting plan. That's not a small shift. That's you reclaiming the steering wheel. You're not suddenly an expert, but you've got clarity. And from clarity comes confidence. In the final part, I'll show you how to take this same immersion method and apply it to very specific skill goals, like learning English, creating content, building a niche. That's where immersion becomes not just self-awareness, but also momentum for growth. Now, let's take everything we've learned about total immersion and apply it to real-world situations. Because this method doesn't just help you understand yourself, it can become a tool to level up your skills and your career. Let's say you've been trying to improve your English. You've downloaded the apps, watched the TED Talks, memorized vocabulary here and there, but no matter how hard you try, your listening still sucks and conversations still feel awkward. Eventually, you start thinking maybe English just isn't for you. But what if, instead of doing a little bit every day, you gave yourself one full week to go all in? No distractions, no switching skills, just one single focus. Listening. For 7 days, you make English listening the core of your life. You listen while brushing your teeth, walking to class, cooking dinner, riding the bus. Instead of shuffling through random content, you pick one video or one podcast and replay it again and again until you understand every single word. No subtitles, no shortcuts. This isn't passive learning, it's immersion. And immersion creates breakthroughs. You go from scattered practice to deep transformation. Same thing applies if you're a content creator. Maybe you've been making videos for months or even years, but you still haven't found your niche. You've tried a bunch of formats, reviews, storytelling, vlogs, but nothing sticks. It's frustrating. But what if you pressed pause on creating new content just for 1 week and use that time to fully immerse yourself in study and strategy? You analyze every video you've made. Look at which ones performed well, which ones felt good to make. You study creators you admire, how they structure their videos, how they hook the audience, how they keep people watching. And for that whole week, you're not just scrolling, you're observing, taking notes, looking for patterns. By the end of the week, you might see something you've missed for months, a style, a message, a type of value that truly fits who you are. That's how you find your niche, not by guessing, but by investigating. You go deep. And for those of you who don't have a burning problem or clear skill goal, but still feel off, like something's missing, you wake up, go through your routine, and yet there's no spark. You're not sad, but you're not excited either. This low-key numbness is something many people feel, but rarely talk about. Here's where immersion can work in a totally different way. Instead of solving a problem, it helps you reconnect with purpose. You pick one topic that genuinely inspires you. Could be creativity, leadership, personal finance, psychology, whatever makes you curious. And you spend a week consuming nothing but content about that topic. Books, podcasts, articles, videos. You write down what moves you, what ideas resonate, what you want to try. You're not trying to become an expert, you're trying to spark something. And often, that spark turns into momentum. When you fill your mind with depth and energy, it starts to reflect in your mood, your decisions, your confidence. And here's the final truth. The most valuable thing you gain from a total immersion week isn't knowledge or productivity, it's clarity. You start seeing your patterns. You understand what matters to you. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. And that clarity, that's what gives you the power to choose where to go next, who to become, and how to start again. So if you've been feeling stuck, confused, or uninspired, I invite you to try it. Just 1 week, one theme, total focus, and watch what unfolds. If you want me to create tools, templates, or step-by-step guides to help you do your own immersion week, let me know in the comments. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to share it with someone who needs to hear it too. See you in the next video.